I know that guys are inherently slower than women are. I mean, sorry, but it is what it is. Okay, so I'm going to help you out here. What you don't comprehend is that women have been living in fear of men from birth. Okay, so these threats, this means absolutely nothing to me.
Society is just 100% pitted against women. It's just all about oppressing women and disrupting women in every single way that they can.
Hey, do y'all remember back in the day when the world was so full of colors, like your bright greens, oranges, blues, pinks? Well, they removed color for a reason. I'm gonna tell you why they removed the color. They figured out color had an effect on health. It can boost the woman's health.
Hello. Today, let's talk about things that women can't do, according to science. Number one is riding on a train. According to science in the 1890s, our bodies couldn't withstand the speed of 50 miles per hour.
The bathroom advantage for males is approximately 3-to-1. I have 3 times more bathroom than a woman when you take into consideration the biological requirements of going to the bathroom if the space is 50-50, which means that a woman's bathroom needs to be 3 times the size of a man's bathroom. It's systemic structural misogyny.
What's happening with women and men right now, like where capitalism has gotten to, and capitalism and the patriarchy are very closely linked. Capitalism is the worst system ever. It's the worst system ever. Like, I don't know if people know this, but as bad as we think, like feudalism was, and like kings and queens and poppers, and you know what I'm saying? As bad as we think those days were, think about this. Back in those days, people didn't work 40 hours a week. I mean, we used to work more, even more at the turn of the century, but like, now, a standard work week in America, 40 hours a week. People didn't work 40 hours a week back in those days. They didn't work 40 hours a week. They worked 15 hours a week. They worked 20 hours a week. They worked way less than you know what I mean? Like, they worked way less than we do now. Capitalism is crazy. And those people still got to experience like natural beauty. The world wasn't all homogenized and turned into a concrete jungle and shit like that. You know what I mean? And I don't want to I'm not romanticizing that era either, because the world has been pretty shitty for, as far as the collective human experience goes, for 5,000 years. You know what I'm saying? If not more, 10,000 years maybe, right? Basically since men took over. So that's the thing. But the patriarchy and capitalism are very much linked in the way that they function very closely. Same with racism as well. You can throw that in there too. But we have gotten to a boiling point, right? It's the big crescendo, I feel like, right now. And basically, after like 10,000 years of just slowly turning up the heat on women, we as a society have gotten to a place, we have created what we would call monsters, right? And I mean that with all due respect, because women and oppressed groups of people need to turn into monsters to fight the monsters. Women are not afraid. They're not as afraid of the the patriarchy as they used to be, because they know more about it now. They've peeked behind the veil. Enough of them have. Enough of them know, right? So women, it's harder to control women. It's harder to sheep herd women. It's getting increasingly more hard. And it is a collective consciousness has started to develop globally, linking all women. Like, women are starting to wake up and be like, hey, wait, hey, what's going on in South Korea? Shit, that's fucking crazy. Hey, what's going on in South Africa? Damn, that's crazy. Hey, what's going on in North America? Wow, that's nuts. What's going on in Honduras? Damn, that's crazy. What's going on in Mexico? Damn, that's crazy. Like, the women are starting to, hey, and then you got the internet, and then you got the social media, and so on and so on and so on. And the women are like, hey, wait. So it ain't just us? it's like a whole thing, like a global phenomenon. Oh my God, we gotta do something about it. And you can't control women, man. You can't control them the way that you used to. It just is. It's not gonna. They're not going back. You're trying to put the genie back in the bottle. It's not. It ain't gonna work, man. Pandora's box is open. The women are. They're not going out without a fight. And the way women have to be more cunning, right? When men talk about, even in relationships, men will use this. Usually, this is used to create this like lie that women are just as destructive as men. But I'll use it now because this is what you guys always, every time you guys use a talking point against women, you leave yourself wide open to something else. So for the men that say like, oh, women have to use their brains to cut deep, they use their tongues to cut a man deep. And yeah, a man is more violent, but a woman, she uses her tongue. Her tongue is sharp. Okay, cool. So women are more cunning than men. They have to be. They have to be. The way that women are fighting back is, and this is the way everybody should fight back, by the way, if you're talking about systemic oppression, stop feeding the system. They're just not feeding the system. Hey, we're not having babies. We're not having babies. Fuck you. Yeah, fuck you. We're not gonna get married to you guys. We're not gonna get in relationships with you ever. I'm not gonna do it. It ain't gonna happen. And that's where we're at. Women are, we've created a monster, right? Thank God. I'm so happy. Women are like fucking, they're starting to punch back. You know what I'm saying? So that's what this is. That's where we're at in the world right now. And you just see how the world is so geared to like the whole world is just geared towards oppressing women. That's what I feel like. The whole world is just like oppress women, oppress women, oppress women. This is me. This is coming from a black man that has suffered under an immense amount of oppression in his lifetime. I'm telling you, without a doubt, the shit that I've gone through pales in comparison to the shit that women go through as a collective. It does. Chattel slavery was terrible, but women also were in chattel slavery. So that's terrible, right? No doubt about it. So even then, my experience isn't unique because black women were suffered in chattel slavery, and they went through worse shit than black men did. They suffered under worse conditions than black men did. They were violated more often than black men were. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. They had to have babies in those conditions. Imagine being pregnant, by the way, during slavery. Imagine giving birth to a child during slavery. Jesus Christ. Scary. Scary shit. It's it's just not gonna work, gentlemen. These tactics, these scare tactics, they're not gonna work.
If you don't start to comply, we will start selling you on the market like cattle. We have all the guns. Don't forget that. Okay. I know that guys are inherently slower than women are. I mean, sorry, but it is what it is. Okay. So I'm going to help you out here. What you don't comprehend is that women have been living in fear of men from birth. Okay, so these threats, this means absolutely nothing to me. Okay, what's happening is you're angry because you're lonely. Things are not going the way you thought they would. You thought it would just be easy for you and you would coast through life and get everything you want, and that's not happening. That's not happening. And where you are is at a fork in the road, guys. Okay, so you have two choices. A, you can continue down the path that you're on and behaving the way that you do, and then you will legit die alone. Okay, your biggest fear, you will die alone. Okay, nobody will be by your side. Or the option I recommend.
Also, you're just gonna be unhappy. You're like the whole time before you die alone, because dying alone, I was born alone, die alone, right? Like that's how I feel. I'm whatever happens, you all. I feel like you always die alone, no matter. You know what I'm saying? Unless y'all both die in a car crash together, but I'm gonna die alone no matter what, right? But and I know what she's saying. Don't get me wrong. That's not my fear. My fear would be being 25 years old, 30 years old, looking down the barrel of the proverbial gun of loneliness and being like, damn. So from now until I die, until my 70s and 80s, I have to go through life all by myself. I have to go through life without a partner. I have to go through life without a companion. I have to go through life. You know what I mean? Like that shit is scary. That's scarier to me than dying alone. Right?
Is to go to therapy, work on yourself, become better human beings, and then hope like hell a woman picks you one day, okay? Because the tables have turned. You don't understand that we do not need you anymore. We do not care. You serve very little purpose, okay? You're not providers. You're certainly not protectors. I mean, you're making threats against us right there. So you can't protect us. You're a threat to us. And you're not providing anything financially or otherwise. You're not even nice. You guys are at a fork in the road. Choose wisely, okay?
And most of the men, if you guys go look up that study or that article that they wrote, but they, that poll they ran or whatever in that magazine Days, DAZE from the UK. If you go look into that, you will see that a good amount of those men, when they were asked, about being in relationships or whatever, would they do the prerequisite things that it took to be in a relationship? And they were like, no, they don't want to be better people. Like the men aren't interested in being better people, right? But everything she said, they're not going back, bro. They're not going back. They ain't going back without a fight. Maybe y'all can figure out a way to get them in there. Maybe you could try to do that. Me personally, I'm on their side. So, I'm gonna help them fight. I'm not about to, I don't want them to go back. It's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? But and I think a good amount of men are gonna join them. Not enough, we need more men. But I think a good amount of men are gonna join women if ever that becomes the case. But we'll see. But the women ain't going back without a fight, and they ain't going back willingly. That's the point. That is the point. And like I was saying, this is what I'm saying about society. Society is just 100% pitted against women. It's just all about oppressing women and disrupting women in every single way that they can. Women. I mean, the same thing it's the same way I feel about black people. I'm telling you, it's like when you have to do all of this stuff to keep a group down, and they're still like, no matter what, still surviving, and some of them are thriving or whatever. I'm always going like, okay, these people know even more than I do. They know our power. They understand it even better than I do. Because I got nothing but faith in black people, right? If you leave us alone, we will thrive. I got nothing but faith in humanity, to be honest with you, if that's the case. I got nothing but faith in humanity. If you leave humanity alone, if the bourgeoisie leaves the proletariat to our own devices, we will thrive and we'll save the planet. That's what I believe. But I believe that especially about marginalized groups of people, like black people, like women. And I look at, I'm like, look at all of these fucking traps and gadgets and you know what I'm saying? All these things that they do to disrupt women, just to keep women distracted and not keep them unhealthy or make them less healthy, to weaken them. I watched this show on Netflix. It was called Something of the Gods, I want to say. It was like a fake little American anime or whatever. I liked it. I like little cartoony stuff sometimes. But it was about like Greek gods or whatever. Anyways, in the show, one of the gods, she created she made these plants that would like spray these spores out into the environment, and it was making all the gods weak. And it was killing people, but it was making gods weak. You know what I'm saying? That's how men set up this system. They just weaken women. They just weaken women. They want women to be around. They know a lot of women are going to die, in the process, but they're like, enough of them will survive. A few of them will survive and thrive, but the majority of them will just be significantly weaker than they would be if we let them just live and just be free, truly free, right? These are the examples that I have, just some of them. And I show these specifically because they're not things that you think about every day. It's not about it. This is way deeper than taking away a woman's bodily autonomy by getting rid of, overturning Roe v. Wade or something like that. This is like very insidious shit that we don't think about on the daily that men would never pay attention to.
Hey, do y'all remember back in the day when the world was so full of colors, like your bright greens, oranges, blues, pinks? Well, they removed color for a reason. I'm going to tell you why they removed the color. They figured out color had an effect on health. It can boost the woman's health, especially with the bright colors. It created a sense of well being. It boosted the woman's mood. It made them want to socialize. It created community. Neighbors used to socialize. And then when they removed color, it created an individualistic society because the woman's mood was no longer boosted. It also affected the woman's health when they took out the vibrant, pretty colors and they put in those dark, hazy colors. And those dark, hazy colors, like your grays, your blacks, your browns, it boosts men mood, which is a plus as well, but it hurt the woman's mood because it made the woman feel more down. It didn't make the woman feel happy. The woman just went along in society like she was not one with herself. She was not whole with herself. She just went along with the norms of society because color was removed from her life. Her mood wasn't boosted. Us women, we need colors in our life. Back in the day, the world was full of colors. Even in the kitchen, they had like red refrigerators, green refrigerators. They removed all that and put all the darker, hazy colors. And they also did the open floor concept, which removes privacy from the woman in the kitchen. And she always had eyes on her. And that was done for a reason too. So they decided.
I always thought the open concept, I don't have an open concept kitchen. And I wanted one for a long time. Like me, my wife wanted one too. It wasn't like a me thing, but like we wanted one. But then when we were house shopping, I was like, I want the kitchen to be separate. You know what I'm saying? Like the kitchen and the living room. I'm sorry, the kitchen and the dining room could be open. I don't mind that. Like everybody could talk to each other while you're eating and whatever. But I want the living room separate from the kitchen. I have that in my house now, and I love it. Like I really like. I don't want an open concept. I lived in open concept houses before, and it wasn't all it cracked up to be. But this is crazy. Here's what I'm saying. This cannot be scientific. Y'all can say whatever. I haven't studied this or whatever. I know about the colors. I thought the colors affected both men and women because I know they do that like in prisons. And I grew up in the projects, and my projects used to be like real like brown and green, like dark greens and browns. And then I moved out, and like a decade later, they painted it like fucking like yellow and orange and shit like that. So I don't know if it only boosts or if it primarily boosts the moods of women, but I could believe that though. I want like I don't put nothing past men. Like with stuff like it, it's to a man. I bet you're like, oh, that's crazy. Nobody would do. I don't put nothing past men. I don't put nothing past the patriarchy. The patriarchy is disgusting. They do everything they can to disrupt women.
Decided that they needed to see their woman in the kitchen when she's cooking, and it didn't give her any privacy. And this was due to the patriarchal system. And some of them said the way that they designed the open floor concept plan was X is. You know what I'm trying to say? SEX is because the woman was the one doing the domesticated work in the kitchen, and the women felt like it wasn't fair. She didn't get any privacy. She didn't have any privacy in the bedroom. Now she didn't have any privacy in the kitchen. I'm gonna attach some things to this video so you can see.
She was in there pouring aqua tofana in that man drink. She was putting nightshades in that man food. He was like, I need to keep my eye on y'all. Yeah.
How color can boost women's mood and can also boost men's mood, but the brighter colors is used to boost women's mood. They extracted those colors because they have a problem. The patriarchal system have a problem with the divine feminine. They left the colors out for the divine feminine and put colors in only for the divine masculine, which enhances the men's mood while lowering our mood.
I again, that was a lot, and y'all can say I've seen the open floor plan thing. I remember seeing something on that like reading something on that a long time ago. I don't know if it's real or not. That's what I'm saying. You can take this with a grain of salt. But I believe it. I believe what she said. I'm definitely like, yeah, nah, I can see that for sure.
Heather, today let's talk about things that women can't do, according to science. Number one is riding on a train. According to science in the 1890s, our bodies couldn't withstand the speed of 50 miles per hour, and our uteruses would fly out. Number two is riding a bicycle. It would give us what's known as bicycle face. That's where we get sweaty and red-faced and very unattractive to a man. Also, sitting on a bike would stimulate us, which is obviously terrible, and you guessed it, would cause our uteruses to fall out of alignment. Number three is running. You guessed it. Exertion can cause the uterus to shift position in the body, resulting in sterility, thus defeating a woman's true purpose in life. By the way, this picture's from 1966. Her name is Bobby Gibb, and she was the first woman to run in the Boston Marathon. Despite a lot of that, fourth and finally,
Now that picture makes, because I'm like, why would y'all be so mad that a woman was running in the race? All that, man, that shit is so, when I'm, again, like as a black man, when I see all them pictures of white people spitting on little kids going to school, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that, I'm like, I just be like, what the fuck did we do to make them that mad? Like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? And then then you get little bits of information here and there, and be like, oh, and it doesn't justify. It's just like, oh, these motherfuckers was sick. Like they really was out here, believing this like pseudoscience shit, and they did without a doubt.
is getting any form of higher education. Don't worry, it's not because of our uteruses. Just kidding, it totally is. Dr. Edward Clark believed that we have a limited amount of blood in our bodies, and because women bleed on a semi-regular basis, we simply didn't have enough blood to focus on education. Learning about math and stuff would take blood away from our vital organs, like the uterus, meaning that we couldn't have babies, which is all we're for. What I've learned from my brief look into this is that any form of advancement that would place women on an even footing with men, there had to be some scientific reason why we couldn't do it. The uterus seemed a common one, most likely because we have it and they don't. Watch out for those uteruses, ladies.
It's crazy, makes perfect sense. Like that, again, I'm telling y'all, man, if you look up, you study phrenology, if you guys remember this what she's talking about is, or what she's talking about reminds me of that part in Django when when Candy, who was played by Leonardo DiCaprio, he pulled out the skull of the old slave, and he was talking about how the medulla oblongata is smaller and whatever he was saying and all that shit. That's that pseudoscience shit that they used to push back in that day. That's that pseudoscience shit. So like a part of you, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't really, like a part of you, you don't even want to blame the common man that believed it, because this was considered science at the time. You know what I mean? But I know better than that. Of course I blame him too. But I'm just saying, like a party was like, man, they was lied to too. They was lied to as well, But it's the same playbook over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. It's the same playbook. Racism, sexism, all of it. It's always the same fucking thing.
I'm not a civil engineer and I don't have a lot of expertise in civil engineering, but it turns out that when you go to the airport and your wife has to go to the bathroom, she's going to have to wait online. When you go to the bathroom, if you're male, you don't have to wait online. The line is typically fairly long, and after your wife comes back to see you, she's like, I'm sorry. You're like, why are you sorry? She's like, the line was really long. So she's sorry because the line was long. She's sorry because she made me wait because the line was long. She's sorry because she went to the bathroom. She went to the bathroom because she had to pee. She had to pee because she's a human. And why is it that she has a line and I don't have a line? First of all, let me say that 87% of civil engineers are male. However, having said that, when you're a civil engineer who's designing an airport, you're a pretty big deal civil engineer, and you're pretty established in your career, and you're pretty high up there. My guess is that that group of people are 99% male, maybe higher. And how men and women's bathrooms are designed in an airport is that the space for the bathroom is split up 50-50 because half of the bathroom is male and half is female, which is fairly typical engineer thinking, especially if you don't think that women and men have any differences. The square foot requirement for a urinal is about 4 feet, and the square foot requirement for a stall is closer to 20 feet. So you need a lot more space for a stall. And women don't use urinals. And most of the time when people go to the bathroom, they're urinating, not having a bowel movement. And if you do urinate and you're a man, you take your zipper down and then pee and pull your zipper up. You don't take your pants all the way down. And if you're a man, you're probably not having a period. Also, men don't wipe. It just literally takes a longer amount of time for a woman to go to the bathroom than it does for a man to go to the bathroom on average. And it takes more space. And so the resource, the commodity that you need is space time for utilization of the bathroom, because males have an inherently higher bathroom utilization efficiency. And I didn't even discuss makeup, okay? This is just micturition, which is a biological necessity, and menstruation. Okay, that's all what I've discussed. If you do the math analysis on just those factors and you try to take some wild guess at how often people pee versus have a bowel movement when they're in an airport, which I realize is crazy, the bathroom advantage for males is approximately 3 to 1. I have 3 times more bathroom than a woman when you take into consideration the biological requirements of going to the bathroom if the space is 50-50, which means that a woman's bathroom needs to be 3 times the size of a man's bathroom in order to give the male and the female urination needs an equal access. But
That what he just described is equity and not equality. That is a prime example of equity. That's a prime example of equity. Because of these different biological factors, the bathrooms need to be 3 times larger for women so that they can have the same access to the bathrooms as men do, because men take three times less time in the restroom. That's equity. Making the bathrooms the same size is equality, and that's why equality doesn't work without equity. We need equity, not equality. If there are biological factors at play or social factors at play, so basically things that aren't like a person, like personal decisions per se, like not individualized decisions, it's like socialized things or science or biological things, then we need to address those issues societally. We need to address those issues systematically and systemically. If it takes a woman 3 times more time to be in the restroom, then we need to build the bathrooms 3 times more so that women can have the same access as men. That's fair. That's fair. 50-50, not fair. Men's bathrooms having 10 stalls, women's bathrooms having 10 stalls, men's bathrooms having 4 mirrors, women's bathrooms having 4 mirrors, 4 sinks, so on and so on. That's not okay. They need 12 sinks, 12 mirrors, 30 stalls, right? So that women can be accommodated the way that men are.
they're not 3 times, they're equal space. So every time you go to the airport and you look at the restrooms, you'll see a big line for the women and you'll see a very short line or no line for the men. That's just the way it is. It's systemic structural misogyny.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Systemic structural misogyny. Remember that phrase. Systemic structural misogyny. That's what all of this stuff was for the most part. And the women have, what else can we do to women on every level? We're oppressive to women. You can't scare them. We've thrown everything at them, even the kitchen sink. There's nothing we can do, man. They're not going back, bro. It's over.